All right, welcome back to the channel. Today, not technically a Malazan video, but it will definitely feature heavily. I'm obviously doing a February TBR, and then just briefly before I get started, I did make a Patreon. So that link is down below. Obviously, never ever expected, but if for some bizarre reason you want to show that crazy level of support, you can now do that. Like I said, definitely never expected. It's very bare bones at the moment. So just if you want to support me that way, it's an option for you. And then I'll probably build it out as I continue making videos here. So yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, we've got, if you've been watching my recent videos, we are making some really good progress on our Gardens of the Moon read along. I've been loving, to no one's surprise, I've been loving making those videos. Just the reread in general has really, not that my passion for Malazan needed any reigniting, but if it's possible, it's done that for sure. So expect one, I'm gonna finish Gardens of the Moon. I can almost guarantee it. I am, of course, in classic fashion for this channel, I'm releasing a TBR video right in the middle of the month. It's currently February 14th, so I don't have that much of February left, but I can assure you Gardens of the Moon will be finished. So expect at least three videos on parts 5, 6, and 7. And then once I finish it, I'm definitely going to give an overall review and really my in-depth thoughts on how the read-along is going, but just my thoughts on how I enjoyed Gardens of the Moon the first time through, which I did. I loved, I really enjoyed it. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into for sure. Was lost at times, definitely. But just comparing, my thoughts the first time through versus going back and rereading it. It's just briefly what I'll say is the reread, it does read like a different book. I think you'll hear that a lot from people because these are characters by the time you finish the season, I've been watching too much Netflix. By the time you finish the series, you're so emotionally attached to these characters. So getting to see them again for the first time, if you will, through a different lens and already having those connections to those characters as you're introduced to them for the first time over again, has been really, really enjoyable. And I was pretty confident that I'd enjoy my reread, but I'm someone who, I'll very rarely rewatch a movie, and I don't reread, or I hadn't in the past reread a lot of books. That's just how I am. Like I said with the movie, I tend not to rewatch them because it's like you already know what happens. But I will say Malazan, it's opened my eyes so much as a reader, but it's definitely shown me a new appreciation for rereading books, because there's so much there that you just can't interpret it all the first time through. You'll inevitably miss details, and obviously after you finish the series, you can kind of pick up on foreshadowing or see make clearer connections, like, oh, that's why this character turned out the way he did or she did. So been really enjoying that. I hope you guys have been enjoying those videos too. So yeah, going on to my next book. I don't have a physical copy. I'm reading it on my Kindle. That's The Lost Metal, which is Brandon Sanderson's fourth and I believe final installment in Mistborn Era 2. I just went on about how I haven't really reread books, but at the end of last year I did reread the first 3 installments in Mistborn Era 2. Just to it had been so long since I read those books, I didn't really know anything, remember anything, so I wanted to give myself a refresher before I jumped into his latest installment. And I'm actually reading these side by side because I won't make a video like I won't read ahead. I've been making videos of Gardens of the Moon, obviously part by part. So once I finish a part, I won't finish reading a part. I won't go further than that until I've made the video, just to help myself out. Because there's so much to break down. I don't want to confuse myself or accidentally put something that happened, later on in the book in a review in my video for that specific part, in case you guys are religiously reading a part, watching a video, reading a part, watching a video. I don't want to spoil later events. So that I just do that for myself, and you guys are kind of reaping the benefits a little bit because I've been enjoying my read through so much that it's kind of forced me, like, okay, I've got to make this video so I personally can keep reading on in Gardens of the Moon. So yeah, when I've got some downtime, when I'm not reading Gardens of the Moon, and usually at night too, I'll read The Lost Metal, and I'm about like 100 pages in. And then also the other thing too with my read through of Gardens of the Moon, because I'm making those videos and I'm just trying to take a more detailed, not detailed, but trying to take more in on my second time through the series. That Gardens of the Moon, it's very much an active reading experience for me. Constantly like drawing underlines and pencil, and jotting down notes and quotes that I like, throwing in the occasional post-it note, as you can see. So obviously can't really do that in bed. So I've been reading on the Kindle at night, and just slowly but surely plugging along. And I've been enjoying it so far. Nothing groundbreaking yet, but a very good continuation in that series so far. So next up is Return of the Crimson Guard. And if you guys have been paying attention, you'll know that this book featured in my February TBR from 2022, which I made almost like a year to the day. But I got about 300 pages into it, and I stopped reading for a while there and moved on to other things. So I'm excited to pick this back up, just because I'm just so excited for Malazan, everything and all things Malazan at the moment, that any additional information you can get about the world and the characters in it, I'm very eager to experience. So, and I enjoyed Knight of Knives, which obviously was Esselmont's first novel of the Malazan Empire, just because you're getting that precious background information that's so so precious, it feels like, because you don't get with Erickson's writing. I'll go on and on about how he doesn't ever info dump, it seems. So you've got to really take these like nuggets of knowledge, and expand on them, and draw the connections, if you will. Sometimes it feels like you're a crazy like crime investigator in your head. You've got all like the red string connecting the dots to everybody. So yeah, I'm just excited to get some more information on the world. And what I'll do, because like I said, I read the first 300 pages of this book like a year ago, I'll just start over. That way I don't forget any crucial details, and I'm trying to play catch up in my head about what happened, who's this character. So yeah, I'll just start over, and that'll likely spill over into March if I'm being realistic. I'm taking a much slower approach to reading this year. In years past, I've read like 10 books in a month, and that's not the plan at the moment. Not that that was ever the plan before, but sometimes you just get bit by the reading bug, if you will, and you just can't help it. You just look up at the end of the month, and all you did in your free time was read. So, but yeah, I've just been going at a much slower pace, just taking my time, trying to enjoy everything and really catch all the details of especially anytime I'm reading Malazan, which I will continue to say I've been loving. So yeah, likely that'll spill into March. But if it doesn't, and I read way more than I expect, I do want to get to Stephen King's Fairy Tale. My wife got me this for Christmas. So it has been on my shelf. I've been, you know, wanting to get to it for a minute. So it's kind of an extra book for the month if I happen to finish Guardians of the Moon, you know, Lost Metal, and Return of the Crimson Guard way ahead of schedule, and I don't want to start, you know, March stuff yet. I'll likely read Fairy Tale. Stephen King, he's been an author for a while I've wanted to read more of. I've only read 2 books, The Shining and The Stand. I would say 2 of his pillars. I think most people would agree with me. And The Shining I loved. It's one of my favorite books, probably in the top 5 if we're excluding most of the Malazan series, if we're not counting all 10 of those. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed The Shining. So I've been wanting to read more Stephen King. I like the Stand, but it came at an awkward time. And that was obviously with the pandemic. So I have a video, I can link that above, on The Shining, or The Stand, where I explain my complicated relationship with that book. And then I do have a video on the channel of The Shining, but it was one of the first videos I made, so it's quite old and maybe hasn't stood the test of time, but you can check that out too if you want to. But yeah, that's February. Just really excited to continue to make, obviously, the reread videos. The read along of Book of the Fallen is always at the top of my list and top of my priorities. If you haven't, I've got the whiteboard in the background, which I plan on experimenting more with. I did make a video on Jagged Tyrants as part of my Gardens of the Moon. Or no, I didn't. That wasn't the video I used the whiteboard for, but I made a video on the main players and factions in Guardians of the Moon, and I busted out the whiteboard for that. So that video is also on the channel if you want to check that out. I liked it. It's just fun to use, you know, a whiteboard, and it gives you guys something a little bit different to experience, a new media, if you will. So we may be busting the whiteboard out more in future videos if, you know, the topics require it or warrant it. So let me know if you guys enjoyed that video, if you did catch it, and make sure to like and subscribe.